Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The Saints have formally requested an interview with Jerrod Johnson of the Houston Texans. He's the quarterback's coach of the Houston Texans. If the name sounds familiar, he was a former Texas A&M quarterback who's spent time in the NFL as a coach since 2017. This year, his first season as the quarterback's coach with the Houston Texans. So there are now four coaches that the Saints have formally requested interviews with. Dan Pitcher, the Bengals quarterback's coach. Zach Robinson, the Rams quarterback's coach. Shane Waldron, the OC from the Seahawks, and now Jerrod Johnson from Houston. It is worth noting that Shane Waldron has been hired as the Bears OC, so scratch him off the list. But we've talked about John Gruden and the possibility there. We've talked about Ronald Curry, a potential in-house candidate. But another name popped up today, and this was at CBS Sports. And this report cites multiple sources telling CBS Sports that UCLA head coach Chip Kelly has been mentioned as a possible offensive coordinator by multiple head coaching candidates in this cycle. So, Kelly's been at UCLA. Just of course, the quick backstory on Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly was the head coach at Oregon and had a real program and college football altering run at Oregon. When he instituted his blur offense, he changed the game with the hurry up, no huddle. He made Oregon a national brand. In 2013, he was hired by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was in Philly for 3 years when he was fired. Then he spent 1 year with the San Francisco 49ers as their head coach. Subsequently was fired. Got back into the college game in 2018 as the head coach of UCLA, where he's been ever since. And it was slow to get started at UCLA. So his overall record is only 35-34 at UCLA, one game above 500. But in the last 3 seasons, he's 25-13. So Chip Kelly, it took him a while to build it, and had a COVID year in there as well. But over the last 3 seasons, you've seen the arrow point up there in Westwood. But Chip Kelly's 60 years old, and maybe at this point, as a lot of college football coaches are doing, maybe they're looking to be done with the college game. With NIL, with the transfer portal, it has never been harder than it is now to build and maintain a roster. And some of these coaches might just say, wiping my hands of it. I mean, Nick Saban's retired, and maybe a guy like Chip Kelly is saying, let me go back to the NFL where I don't have to worry about these things as I build a roster. The real question becomes, though, is Chip Kelly a desirable candidate? Last year, half of the NFL teams changed their offensive coordinator. Last year. This year, it's trending toward that number again, if not more. And there are vacancies for OC jobs right now in Cleveland, Buffalo, although I think we're all assuming Joe Brady's going to get that job in Buffalo permanently. Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Chicago was open until Shane Waldron took the job. So you scratch Chicago. And if you just consider Brady in Buffalo, it's Cleveland, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, are really the 3 right now. And there could be more, of course. By the way, that's where, not counting jobs where the head coach turned over, right? So, I mean, Atlanta is hiring a new head coach. They're obviously going to hire a new offensive coordinator as well. But my real question with Chip Kelly is, what version of Chip Kelly are you getting at 60 years old? And I want to be very honest before I go any further. I would put the odds of Chip Kelly being the Saints offensive coordinator at like 3%. I mean, I don't think it's a good chance. It sure sounds, when you look at the list of candidates the Saints have interviewed, that they're looking at the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan tree of young offensive assistants, which we've seen so many teams in the NFL do. But what version of Chip Kelly are you getting at 60 years old? How motivated is he? That's not to say at 60 you can't still coach, you can't still be great. I mean, look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid is still arguably the most innovative offensive mind in the NFL. I mean, he's been a head coach in the league for more than 20 years now. So I'm not saying it's not the case with Chip Kelly, but it's also fair to say, is Chip Kelly even an NFL coach? When he went to Philly in 2013, the Eagles finished that season second in the NFL in total offense. They were number 2 in the NFL in total offense. The next year they were 5th, then they were 12th, and he was fired. In 2016, he goes to the 49ers, and the Niners were 31st in the NFL that year in total offense. So his 4 NFL seasons, he went from 2nd to 5th to 12th to 31st. I mean, that's not exactly a positive trend. Maybe Chip Kelly's just a great college coach, a guy that can take his roster, identify talent, and coach them up to maximize their ability. But there are exceptions when you talk about guys that are older coaches, relatively speaking, right? I just mentioned Andy Reid. Kansas City was 9th this year in the NFL. And keep in mind, that's an offense that you traded away Cheetah. Like, you've lost a lot of your the core components of your offense to free agency and guys leaving. You saw this for 2 decades in New England. Guys would go to New England, they'd have success there, they'd get a free agent deal elsewhere, and they wouldn't be what they were because you didn't have Tom Brady. But as long as you got Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, it feels like that thing's going to keep churning. Mike McCarthy, you can laugh. Dallas finished this year, 5th in the NFL in offense. Mike in total offense, and they were 1st in scoring. Mike McCarthy ain't exactly a young coach, but if you look at the rest of the top 10, I mean, here's your top 10 in the NFL this year in total offense. Miami, Mike McDaniel. San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan. Detroit, Ben Johnson. Buffalo, Joe Brady. Dallas with McCarthy. Baltimore with Monken. 7, Rams, Sean McVay. 8, Philadelphia with Sirianni. 9, Chiefs, Reed. And 10 was Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, who's 38 years old. So 8 of the top 10 are all guys in their 30s, maybe early 40s, who are McVay, Shanahan, or from the McVay-Shanahan tree. That's your top 10 offenses in the NFL with 2 exceptions, McCarthy and Reed. So if you're an NFL GM, head coach, you're trying to hire an offensive coordinator, and you're saying, what has a better track record of succeeding in today's NFL? Well, 8 of the top 10 offenses are guys in their 30s who coach with McVay or Shanahan, or are McVay and Shanahan. There's 2 exceptions, McCarthy and Reed. That's it. So where do you have a better opportunity for success? Find me the young assistant that's on the come up. That's the direction I'd like to see the Saints go. It's not Chip Kelly. It's not John Gruden. It's not some other retread. Get me the young assistant that's going to have their opportunity to go build their version of this offense in this modern NFL. And it sure sounds like that's the direction the Saints are going with the candidates they've interviewed. Unless if Mickey Loomis has a wild hair, has some wild trick up his sleeve, an ace in the hole that he's planning to hire, and we just don't know who it is yet. Another day today, Monday brought another name in Gerard Johnson. Maybe tomorrow it'll be another name and another successively. We'll keep an eye. I don't have a candidate that I favor more than any, as I've said, because I think with guys that don't have a long resume, there isn't necessarily a lot there for me to say, based on what I've seen that coach do, here's why I like that coach. I think what it comes down to is you get these guys in the room and decide, okay, who's a leader of men and has a plan moving forward? And you hire that guy, whomever it may be. But I'll tell you what I don't want is a retread. What I do want is one of those young cats from that tree that have been successful basically everywhere they've gone. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.